exhaust rattle this morning. Sticky tag and my sticky odometer. Let's see if this starts working. It's struggling a little bit. Hey, good morning everyone. Welcome to a North Alabama morning. I am on my way to work this morning in the 240, and today I kind of wanted to talk about and discuss what it's like daily driving a 30-year-old car, specifically a Volvo 240. So when you drive an old car, there's gonna be some positives and some negatives. Obviously, it's not new. It doesn't have all the fancy technology that new cars have. Of course, my newest car is 8 years old. But what's special about it to me that I don't think a lot of people understand is it's not just that you're driving something old and it's cheap. It's experiencing what it was like to drive a car in the 80s or in the early 90s. So that time is, it's fascinating to me to just experience what everyone else was experiencing in those times. And I know that's not like a crazy long time ago. I was born in the 90s myself, but sorry, I got interrupted there. But just to experience what it was like to drive around in the 80s and 90s, this was normal. This was the car that 3 million people bought because it was so beloved and reliable. So what it's like driving today in 2022, there's gonna be sacrifices you make, right? So it rattles, it makes some funny noises. It's not fast. You know, it's not, this being an automatic car, it's definitely not fast. It's not exciting to drive, but that's not really what this car is for, or what I got this car for. So it's plenty fast to drive in everyday traffic and to get up to speed. You know, I just was from a stoplight and pulled out in front of a large truck, not really that close, but I'm already up to 60 miles an hour. It's just fine. It's as fast as I would ever be driving and accelerating anyway. So that's not an issue. But there's also, you know, like right now, the air conditioning doesn't work. The heat will it'll blow some heat, but it makes noise, the fan makes noise. So that's an issue. I'm currently using a Bluetooth speaker for my radio versus using the actual radio, and the radio works. It's just the speakers are blown. I don't really care to work on that right now. But you know, there are things that you sacrifice that you that aren't going to be like a new car, because it's not a new car. It's 30 years old. This car's older than I am. But it's special. You know, I like driving a car that is special and that people will come up to you and ask about and be like, oh, I grew up, you know, riding to practice in one of those. My friend's mom had one of those, and she would take us everywhere in that, whatever it is. Because something about this car, I knew a lady growing up who had a Volvo 240 wagon, and you know, at the time in the mid 2000s, everyone was like, okay, whatever, big deal. But it always kind of, I saw it and I was like, that's interesting, because at least in the United States, there's not a lot of station wagons. There's not a lot of estate cars here. And I was like, that's really, it always was interesting to me. No, not in the mid 2000s was I like, oh my goodness, that's a cool car. But it was always interesting, and always just, it was nice. It was cool that she drove something different that not everyone had. And that's kind of the reason why I got one now is, you know, I was driving a Toyota Camry before. That's a great car, obviously. It's reliable, and I still have it, but it's not interesting at all. It's not a car that someone's going to come to you and want to talk about. And that's exactly what I wanted. So, and that's what this car is. This is a clean example, and I can drive it every single day. It's reliable. It's been taken care of its entire life. The cruise control is not working right now, but I drive 20 miles into work every day. I don't really need cruise control. I wanted to touch on what it's like as a relatively tall person to drive this car. I'm 6 foot, and there's no problem at all. I have the seat all the way back, and once I figured out, and I can show this better in another video, once I figured out that the whole seat can tilt back, there's an extra lever under the seat that I was not originally aware of, that once I found it, the whole seat tilts back, and now my legs are fully supported. Let me see if I can do this. So I pull this, so the seat tilts down, and I can tilt it back up. You might not be able to see that very well. But once I figured that out and I have the backs of my legs be better supported, it made the car a lot more comfortable. But you know, it's a cool old car, and the seats, they don't make seats like this anymore. Most seats are super hard foam now, and they don't even squish at all, but these seats are comfortable, and the back seat specifically is much more comfortable. I mean, they're squishy, but the back seat, I don't know if you can even see, it's very squishy. So if you got kids back there or something, they're going to be thanking you for how comfortable it is. So yeah, I mean, these cars, they were designed to be driven. All cars were designed to be driven. And whenever I think about this car, whenever it was sold new in 1993, it was daily driven for a long time. And really, up until I got this car, it was really pretty much daily driven its whole life. And what's stopping me? What's stopping you from doing it now? Like, they can still be driven. Just take care of it, and they're made to drive. Yeah, there's not going to be as much technology now as new cars have, but you don't need that stuff. I mean, I need a car that's going to be reliably take me to work and give me enjoyment out of what I'm driving, and something that I can be proud to park in a parking lot and be like, okay, that's cool, that's my car. One other thing that I love doing to kind of better experience this car while I'm driving is I listen to 80s and 90s music. I listen to James Taylor or Huey Lewis and the News or REO Speedwagon, and that just better sets me in that time frame of when this car came out and what it was like owning at that time. So anyway, thanks for tuning into this one. I wanted to give you a little bit of first-hand experience of what it's like to drive this car and what it's like to live with this car on a daily basis. Everyone can do it. It's not anything special. It's not, you know, this is a car you don't have to stress about driving. You don't have to be worried about if something breaks. It's easy to find parts. It's easy to fix. You know, the fact that this is a non-interference motor with a timing belt is, you know, it takes the stress out of worrying about if your timing belt's going to break and destroy your engine, because you're not. So anyway, I hope you got some enjoyment out of this, and just some first-hand experience that is always nice to have before purchasing a new car. I forgot to take off the t-shirts off my back headrest. I put those on whenever the car is being parked to protect it from the sun. But yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this. Thanks for tuning in to watch. and go out there and get you a 240. It gets you something that's interesting that you can drive and enjoy and that you can just experience. It's fun to experience something different and something new, and that's exactly what this car is. So anyway, thanks guys. I hope you have a great day. I'll see you on the next one.